Cherri, welcome to Empower Network TV. I'm very excited to be interviewing you since we're talking about claiming your crown. I want to
Yeah.
claim my crown. So let's just be real here. So where are you coming to us from today? Are you in North America? Are you in Europe?
Southern California.
Southern California. Okay.
Southern California.
Is it sunny over there? You guys got decent
It is
weather?
actually sunny today.
Okay.
After 2 days ago it was raining, but that's Southern California.
Okay.
But it's actually sunny. It's the Southern California I grew up in and know and love. So it's
Okay.
beautiful today.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, welcome here. I'm excited to hear what we're going to dive into. As you know, I never ask anyone anything before I interview them because I like hearing it just real fresh. First thing off the, so we're going to start with, first of all, why did you choose the name Claiming Your Crown? Like, that's amazing.
Well, what I do, I am a transformational strategist, and what that is I coach tween and teenage girls of color. And one of the main things that I work with them, assist them with transitioning through, that adolescent phase, going through that journey. And one of the first things that I teach them is to self-awareness. In other words, I teach them about self-awareness and knowing who they are, knowing their emotions and knowing their belief system, recognizing their belief system, and then determining why they have that belief system. So it's all about just recognizing the value in themselves. And to just encapsulate all of that is claiming your crown. So that you're able to reign, you're able to go forward, you're able to take leadership of your life, and then, know what your purpose is and going forward. So that's where the claiming your crown came from.
I got to ask, how do you get them to step into that? Because like, it's one thing to say that, but like a lot of people, myself, one of them, you get stuff that happens to you growing up as a teen, as a 10-year-old. And we hypothesize it's easy to go, well, I'd like to, but practically, how do you get them to step into that? Because what if they've had family situational stuff that pushed them down? How do you, can I just go right at it? What are like some of the secrets?
That's exactly the reason why I, embarked on this journey, is because we have so many young girls. And initially I started at, like 11, 12, but as I've gone through some of my experiences with these young girls, it's starting earlier and earlier. So the first thing is to get them to recognize what the emotion is that they're feeling towards the experience that they've gone through. And surprisingly, Amos, that's one of the most challenging part of it, because what we all tend to do that is we tend to repress what we don't understand why, or if it's something that's extremely, extremely hurtful, if it's scary, we tend to kind of repress that. And so the initial effort is to teach them tools on how to recognize what it is they actually endured, and then assign an emotion to that. I'm angry. I'm afraid. I'm sad. Whatever, we determine what emotion are you assigning to that experience. And then we can work through that. We can work with that and go forward. And once we recognize what our emotions are, because our emotions determine our behavior, they're kind of the driver for our behavior. If you're angry, then you're not going to walk up and give someone a hug. It's just unlikely that you're going to walk up and give them a hug. So our behavior is really determined by what our actual emotion is. So once we recognize that emotion, then we can start working with our belief systems. And you would be surprised, Amos, that a belief system starts at the age of 6. And what is really established, your belief system is actually established, I should say, at the age of 6. And everything that occurs after that actually just supports what that belief system is. So if your belief system at the age of 6, based on an experience that you went through, is, you know what, men are evil, or men are bad, or men are, you're going, every experience after that, besides the fact that your behavior is going to be predicated on that belief system, every experience after that is going to support that belief system. So we have to first identify the emotion, and then we can start working on, okay, well, that emotion is based on your experience, and what did you derive from the experience? So that's the first thing. That's all involved in the self-awareness and being aware of what our emotions are at any given time, what we're assigning to this. When we started this and you said, oh, I'm going to record it. Okay, well, then there was anxious. I was anxious, nervous, and then I had to start thinking about, okay, why am I anxious and why am I nervous? And then determine, okay, well, how am I going to proceed from here? So that's what I do with the girls.
Well, I'm glad someone's doing that, because I just processed last weekend through something that happened to me at 10 years old. And I'm 47. That was the first time I've ever processed the emotions of what happened to me involving my dad. And it was a lot. And so the fact that I wasn't taught to even feel emotions growing up. I don't know
Exactly.
that a lot of Gen Xers and even younger, we're not taught to even honor emotions, like, tough it up, suck it up, princess,
right.
kind of thing.
Right. And you're taught to repress it, or you're taught to just, like you say, not really display what that emotion is. So if someone hurts your feelings, I'm not going to let them know that they hurt my feelings. So I'm going to act as though everything is okay. So what you feed yourself is what you start to believe eventually. So no one can touch me. No emotion can touch me. You can't hurt me. You can't, all of those things, because we are taught to repress those emotions. And even, actually, sadly, even worse, males were taught traditionally, you don't show emotions. You don't, if you stub your toe, you don't cry about it, suck it up. Like you said, you're a male, you suck it up, and women are taught, particularly young girls are taught, because they actually see that, well, you're strong. Women can do everything. Women can do as much as a male can do. You're strong, and you have to have all of these balls in the air at one time, and you can't drop a ball or you failed. And so emotion is the first thing that we must address with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. What emotion am I feeling? This person hurt my feelings. Or this person made me angry. Now, we don't have to go by a set reaction to the emotion, but we do have to identify the emotion. And I think that's why we tend to not address the emotion, because we feel like, well, it's predicated on a certain action. Well, if I'm angry, then I have to display my anger in this manner. Is that appropriate? Is that appropriate in this environment? Is that appropriate for me? Is that appropriate for me in this environment? Is that appropriate for me at this age? Is that appropriate? All of those things that we tend to go back to that emotion. We tend to, and as you said, you never addressed the 10-year-old you and what emotions you experienced as the 10-year-old you. And more than likely, it was because you were told or you were given indication that you have to act in this manner, because if you don't, then this will be the results. So that's primarily my main objective with working with these young girls.
And after you get them to identify with the emotion, how do you help them rise up? What is the secret to, so they're now owning the honesty of, this is how I feel. Awesome. So they're in touch with that. Then how do they facilitate the transformation to make them become, the victor, not the victim in their life? What is the next step in the sequence?
One of the first lessons that I teach is a victim is someone who did not survive. Evidenced by the fact that you're talking to me right now means that you survived. So what we're going to do is replace victim and all that's associated with that. We're going to replace that with survivor. And then, so now let's explore what a survivor is. A survivor basically championed that moment and moved forward. That's what a survivor is. A survivor was able to move from that moment to the next moment, to the next moment. That's what a survivor is. So first of all, let's divorce ourselves away from victim and all that entails to survivor. And once we start existing in that survivor mode, then we can go forward. We're going to validate your emotion. It was okay for you to be angry. It was okay for you to be hurt. Let's go forward from there. What are we going to do with that emotion? And then what are we going to do with that experience? What did that experience teach us? Because everything we experience prepares us for our future, good and bad.
It's like
happy. All those things prepare us for our future. So
it's like the prerequisites. I notice so that sometimes it's hard to identify the prerequisites. I'm even going through that in different areas of my life right now. It's like, I want X, Y, and Z, but sometimes the prerequisite courses to get there, man, they're not things I thought would be on the prerequisite list. They're not courses I want to take. They're courses I want to avoid. And then there's that tension between, but I want that, but then on the way to getting that is all this other stuff. It's like, I got to do that and that and that to get that. What? Like, why? Right? And then there's that, at least I feel it in myself. I'm not sure how the girls you work with feel it.
Well, this is what I actually always try to make sure that we understand is, rather than concentrate on the moment that you're going through, or, why am I going through this? Why does this keep happening to me? Concentrate on, what do I get from this? What is going to be the lesson? Because every experience is a lesson. So what's going to be the lesson? What am I going to get out of this when I finish going through this? So even when you're looking at, why am I taking this course? What does this have to do with anything? Well, as a nurse, one of my, no, I'm not a nurse. I'm afraid to cite the blood, but one of my sisters is a nurse, I should say. And when she was going through her courses, or, college and everything, one of the main emphasis for nursing is math. And she's like, what? Okay, because that's like my least favorite subject is math. What does this have to do with anything? Why are they such an emphasis? They have such an emphasis on math. Well, the reason why is because when you become an RN, or even before that, and you're measuring, you have to do a lot of measurements with the medication. You have to, when you're doing the injection and things like that, you have to measure. You have to do a certain math, and it tells a lot of math. But you don't realize that because you're thinking about, she was thinking about, I want to be a nurse, I want to help people, I want to service people, I want to blah, blah, blah. She was not thinking about, and I have to go through math. So generally, anything that you're going through, there's going to be an ultimate need for you to refer back to that, I say, skill set that you had to, incorporate into your daily life, basically, and able to get through that moment. You're going to generally be able to refer back to that, and it's going to help you in your future. So any situation that you're going through, I basically teach, find out what the lesson is in this. How might I use this? We consider it an obstacle, we consider it, a hill to climb, but how can I utilize this in my future, or store it, and then the opportunity to utilize that skill will present itself eventually. So rather than spending a lot of time in obstructing, yourself on why do I have to go through this and what is this necessary? So you're spending a lot of time thinking around that. Do it. Get through it. If nothing, you accomplish the skill you didn't think that you could accomplish. And then eventually that skill set is going to come. And if there, and like for her, I was telling her, if they're requiring that, then you're going to have a need for it eventually. There's a reason, you may not know, but there's a reason. You're going to have a reason to utilize that. And in that case, it was, when you're the measurements that you have to pertain to, So that's what I try to tell the girls. Think through the moment. Don't look at it as an insurmountable challenge. Look at it as a challenge, and look at it as, how do I address this challenge? And how do I overcome this moment? How do I champion, which is a common phrase that we have, how do I champion this moment? Yeah, it's difficult, but guess what? If you don't have a disruption, then I know for me, if it's too easy, okay, I don't put a lot of value on it, number one. Number two, anything that's accomplished, there's a disruption around it. So, as one of my pastors tell me, even when you plant a tree, it has to do what to grow? It has to disrupt the ground to grow.
Fair enough.
Right? So any challenge, there's going to be a disruption. And the disruption is to simply strengthen your skill set. Whether it's emotional, whether it's actual or physical skill set, it's to strengthen your skill set. And so look for the disruption. Don't try to hide from it or oh, wow, really? Really, I got to go through this. Why does it always happen to me? Why does this always happen to me? Every time I'm trying to, move forward and develop and this happens to me. Expect it. And here's the second thing. Divorce yourself from the term failure. Because if you're looking at it as a failure, then that's the bar that you've set for yourself. That's it. Okay, well, I felt this, so I can't go any further. No, guess what? That's a lesson learned. So now, when I did it this way, I didn't accomplish my objective. So what about if I do it this way? No, that didn't work. Okay, well, what about if I do it this way? Those are lessons learned. It's never, I'm not going to accomplish my objective. How am I going to accomplish my objective? And so now I know for future, if I try it this way, this is going to be the outcome this way. So, and if I try it this way, that's the outcome this way. So let me try it this way.
I love the mindset. This is how to have a winning mindset. You're just laying down the basics of this is the framework. So what does it look like then? How are these young girls finding you then? Are their moms reaching out? Are you doing social media stuff on the platforms they're on, or how are you calling out your audience?
Two ways, Amos. One, I'm on social media and I do one-on-one. And so I appeal to the parents, primarily mothers. I appeal to the mothers and how, I just ask them, what are you going through? Or if you're going through this, I post a lot on Facebook, to just address different, I know things that their daughters are going through at this point in their lives. And so let's partner and let's go through this together. And then I also have 3 programs based on age group. And those programs are Girls Empowerment Academy. And I work in cohorts or groups of girls, and I try not to have more than 10 in a group. So that it's kind of intimate, 12 at the most, but so it's kind of intimate. And I have several cohorts, but in each cohort, there's no more than 12 girls. And we work on, it's a 9-month program, and we work on the different parts of the development transition. And so again, we start with self-awareness, and then that leads to self-confidence. It leads to positive body imagery. It leads to, that's the first group. And and so on and so forth. How do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to present yourself to the world? And we get to determine that.
They must have amazing conversations, and some of them must bond together, because that is like, they're going through the thick of it, especially the young girls at that age.
Exactly. That's the purpose. And what I found, while it's fantastic, on the one-on-one, but it's even better because what I working in partnership with the parent, I let them know, you need to build a network around your daughter, and I'm just a part of your network, because the daughter is going to have different needs. And so she's going, as we have different friends, I know I can go to this friend when I need someone to kind of like pump me up. You can do it, you're fantastic. And then I have another friend that I go to when I need someone to be just honest with me. Is that the best decision you can come up with? I need someone to be straightforward. Well, the friend who pumps me up is not the person I need to go to if I want straightforward. I don't think that's a good idea. Let's explore this. Let's talk about this. So it's the same with your daughter. The daughter is not going to always go to the mother. If she's being bullied, if she's feeling insecure, all of those things, she's not always going to go to the mother, because that's not what she uses the mother for. The mother's for the nurturing, the mother's for the pep talks and things like that. In the cohort, what I found is that the girls, when they see other girls going through the same thing, then they feel, because at that age, they want to belong. Now, this is the girls from 8 to 18. In those age group, they want to belong. They want to be, that's why they're so vulnerable and they're so easily bullied. They're so easily led, not always by the best group or the best person, because they want to belong. And so when they're in that cohort and they see other girls who are, oh, wow, I'm not the only one who's feeling like this. Oh, great. That's fantastic. So that age group, we work in cohorts. The next age group, which is 19 to 24, And that's when they're graduating, going to college, or they, you know, deciding what they want to do. There's a whole other, I also have a program for those girls because they have other criteria that they're trying to meet. And again, we're talking about branding. We're talking about how do you want to show up in the world, making goal decisions, you know, that pertain to really the rest of your life. And what type of decisions are you going to make, and so on and so forth. So we have a totally different, and then we have 25 to 30. And that's, you know, and it's really to get these girls to a point where they're utilizing tools to make decisions about their lives, and they're setting their lives up way earlier than waiting to, you know, 40s and 50s and, you know, and having that epiphany like, oh yeah, okay, oh, okay, you know, then they get into all these little groups and things like that, and pay for someone to, you know, and this is something that can set their life on a trajectory where they're making those type of decisions, and they're making, and even in the second and the third groups, we are heavily we depend heavily on philanthropy, you know, and to introduce the girls to stepping outside of themselves and helping. What are you going to do with your life? What are some of the things? Because I hate to ask even a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because that's to indicate you can only be one thing, you know, and particularly for a girl, because we're taught to be multitaskers, you know, so to say, oh, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then they have to select one thing to be when they grow up. One, what if they change their mind? Then they have to go through the, well, I don't want to disappoint mom, or, you know, because I told her I wanted to be this. Two, you can be a lot of things. You know, if you have the capacity to be a mom, you have the capacity to be a career woman, you have the capacity to be a number of things, you know, then you can be more than one thing. So I always ask, what are some of the things that you want to accomplish when you grow up? And then that way, you're not just narrowing down the field to, oh, you know, I can only do this, or I can only look in this direction. What are some of the things that you want to accomplish? And it opens up, well, you don't want to just be a nurse because you think that that's the only way that you can serve people. But if you say, well, I want to serve people. I want to help people. I want to, you know, then that opens up an entirely different field. So how are some of the things that you want to accomplish that?
Yeah, powerful stuff. Cherri, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're doing that work with the young ladies, because that is so needed. And hopefully there's going to be a male counterpart that emerges, that probably already has emerged, but that comes to the group, so we could say, all right, well, go see Cherri if you need this. That would
be fantastic.
Yeah. And can you, thank you for being here, Cherri. And can you drop your links after for whatever you got, website, Facebook group? I'll tag you in this after. And I'm just really thankful to hear that there's young ladies that can get this help, because they need the guidance, and the parents don't. A lot of parents do not know what to do as parents.
Exactly.
We had our parents who did this, you know, did the best with us, and then we got thrown in, and we're like, it's like you're in a war zone, and you're like, you come up.
I'm doing this now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you realize when the kids are 10 or 20, you're like, oh, shoot, I wasn't doing any of this stuff. I should have. I was just thinking about putting food on the table, but not, you know. So it's so nice to hear that there's people like you that are doing this work out there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Are people free to reach out and connect with you then if they want to?
Definitely free. Yep. Yes, they are definitely free to reach out with me. To me, I can be reached at Coach Cherri, and that's Cherri is pronounced like the fruit, but is CHERRI at cherrilking.com. It's real easy.
Well, Cherri, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks for the work you're doing, and I'll be tagging you in this. And if you've listened or watching Empower Network TV, then Cherri King has been laying it down for us and just basically giving us all the principles of how to live a successful life and honor your calling without conforming to what someone else tells you should or shouldn't do. So thanks for your work in helping people become resilient. especially the
Thank
young
you.
ladies. It's beautiful.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll chat soon. Thanks, Cherri.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.